news in the Daniel Penny case. The judge has just dismissed count one, the manslaughter charge against Marine veteran Daniel Penny. Let's go to correspondent CB Cotton reporting live from the courthouse in New York City and find out what else this means and what we can learn from it. CB, what can you tell us?
Hi, Martha. What a day here at the courthouse, right? So, yes, the judge has dismissed that first count, the most serious charge, second-degree manslaughter. And he told jurors just moments ago that he said, quote, what that means is you are now free to consider count two. Whether that makes any difference, I have no idea. And then he sent jurors, now he's sending jurors home for the weekend and telling them they'll come back to deliberate the lesser charge, criminally negligent homicide, on Monday. So the trial is not yet done, but the latest here from the courthouse is that the judge has dismissed the most serious charge, second-degree manslaughter, and now jurors will come back on Monday to deliberate the second charge, criminally negligent homicide. As you were talking about before the break, Martha, there was some back and forth, particularly from the defense, who had some concerns on whether jurors should be allowed to deliberate the lesser charge. Defense attorney Thomas Kenneth telling the judge he thought it might be coercive to jurors. It appears like he's trying to get all of this on record, all of this in the court record to possibly perhaps bring up an appeal in the future. But for now, this trial is not yet done, and Penny's fate is still not decided by the jurors here at the courthouse. I want to say
unfreaking believable. I mean, thank God that the first one got knocked down, but the fact that this is still going on. I mean, if you don't know about this case, let me show you the guy Daniel Penny, who's a hero, by the way, and is being charged for a crime as if he's a villain. This is what happened.
That's around 2:15, and multiple times a day. In this instance, I was coming from Village in Manhattan, so I take the subway multiple times a day. In this instance, I was coming from school. I got out of class around 2:15, and I took I was at J Street Metro Tech, took the Uptown F train. At 2nd Avenue, a man came on, stumbled on. He appeared to be on drugs. The doors closed, and he ripped his jacket off and threw it at the people sitting down to my left. I was listening to music at the time, and he was yelling, so I took my headphones out to hear what he was yelling. And the three main threats that he repeated over and over was, I'm going to kill you, I'm prepared to go to jail for life, and I'm willing to die. You know, this was a scary situation, and Mr. Nearly came on. He was threatening. I'm 6'2", and he was taller than me. So it was, and there's a common misconception that Marines don't get scared. We're actually taught one of our core values is courage, and courage is not the absence of fear, but how you handle fear. And you know, I was scared for myself, but I looked around. I saw women and children. He was yelling in their faces, saying these threats. I couldn't just sit still. Some people say that I was holding on to Mr. Nearly for 15 minutes. This is not true. I mean, between stops is only a couple minutes. So the whole interaction lasted less than 5 minutes. Some people say I was trying to choke him to death, which is also not true. I was trying to restrain him. You can see in the video, there's a clear rise and fall of his chest, indicating that he's breathing. I'm trying to restrain him from him being able to carry out the threats. And then some people say that this was about race, which is absolutely ridiculous. I didn't see a black man threatening passengers. I saw a man threatening passengers, a lot of whom were people of color. The man who helped restrain Mr. Nearly was a person of color. And then a few days after the incident, I read in the papers that a woman of color came out and called me a hero. I don't believe that I'm a hero, but she was one of those people that I was trying to protect. We were all scared. Mr. Nearly was yelling in these passengers' faces, and they looked terrified. The reason why there was no video at the start of the altercation was because people were too afraid getting away from him. And the videos didn't start until they saw that situation was under control. I knew I had to act, and I acted in a way that would protect the other passengers, protect myself, and protect Mr. Nearly. I used this hold to restrain him, and I did this by leaving my hand on top of his head to control his body. You can see in the video there's a clear rise and fall of his chest, indicating that he was still breathing. And I'm calibrating my grip based on the force that he's exerting. And I mean, I was trying to keep him on the ground until the police came. I was praying that the police would come and take this situation over. I didn't want to be put in that situation, but I couldn't just sit still and let him carry out these threats.
So we always talk about something we call the hero making machine of valuetainment. I don't want to live in a country where this is the wrong thing to do. I mean, so you create conditions where crime is rampant, where criminals don't go to jail a lot of the time, and then for people who stand up to the criminals when they're threatening people who are weaker than them, you're setting the precedent right now. Those people could face decades in jail. We always talk about demoralization of the nation. This is the best example you could think of for that. I can't tell you how many videos I've seen in the last 4 years of random men walking up to women or old people on the street, punching them in the face, knocking them out, with people nearby watching it and not doing anything about it. This is why, because they know what will happen. And then they try to make a racial message out of it. Like, compare this to the George Floyd thing. Put the fucking statue for George Floyd. Fuck George Floyd. He was a piece of shit, and the world is probably a better place without him. He was a criminal, and we tried to make him some kind of martyr just to manipulate people and make racial divisions, manufacture a racial divide. And this guy should be having parades and statues. This guy should have a parade. We should have a parade for this guy because he represents what men are supposed to be and what America is supposed to be. Like, if you're a woman out there, if you have kids, you don't want men to be inclined to do this. You want them to be inclined. There's another video going around of a lady getting punched in the face, by a guy in the subway. And everybody stands around looking, not doing anything. Why do you think that is? Because of this. And of course, it's that piece of shit, Alvin Bragg again, who's the one that's handling this case, that's bringing charges against this guy. And that's not shocking, because what do you think his marching orders are? He's a Soros-funded attorney general, and Soros wants to demoralize the nation, because you can't have a strong nation and have globalism at the same time. You have to weaken the morale and demoralize the nation to achieve the ends that George Soros wants to achieve. But here, check out what Mayor Adams said.
A multi-faceted approach of everything that's wrong with the system that we're facing. One, look at the photo that they used to show the victims. It seemed like it was a young, innocent child who was brutally murdered, and it gave that impression. When you looked at the photo that was being used, it wanted to set up in the minds of people that we were dealing with a young, innocent child that, just a Michael Jackson intimidator that, was just brutally assaulted. Then you look at the complete failure of our mental health system, a complete failure from the days of closing psychiatric wards and having those who needed help just turned over into the street without giving any safety net to accept them. Parents reach out to me all the time and say, I'm watching my child go down, or my loved one, my family member going down this serious decline. What do we do? A system where you brought people into hospitals, gave them medicine for one day, and sent them back. The young man in this case was going within our system, throughout the revolving door of our system. Now, we're on the subway where we're hearing someone talking about hurting people, killing people. You have someone on that subway who was responding, doing what we should have done as a city and a state of having a mental health facility. Those passengers were afraid. I'm hoping that the jury will hear all the facts. Based on all the facts that's laid out, a jury of his peers would make the right decision. And I don't want to prejudge that. I'm just looking at all the facts that are involved here and what we did to get to where we are and what we're seeing. Because that could have easily been a case where you saw 3 innocent people murdered on our street 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Mayor Adams is really coming around. That's why they're going after him so hard. But just closing thoughts on this. It sounds like, so they dropped the most serious charge. The next charge is going to be decided on Monday, but Alan Dershowitz said that if they convict him on this, it's going to get shut down by an appeals court, because it's a ridiculous case. Like, no application of common sense. Like multiple witnesses, or here's a witness, a direct witness, and you don't see this anywhere.
What did I see? I was sitting over there. I heard the young man that's on the floor saying, hey, I'm willing to die, I'll do anything. I'm willing to die. I'll go to jail. I don't care. I don't care. And he was saying it so loud that everyone turned around. So this young man, he got belligerent and he tackled him down. The one that just passed away in the brown jacket, the one that just went past.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, what the hell is, like, what do people want this guy to do? Just shameful that it's really just the narrative that's cast by the media, because we talk about this all the time. Like what happened with George Floyd, that was literally, if you ever saw House of Cards, that's when the school union was on strike and they're waiting for that perfect police call on the radio to say that a kid died because he wasn't in school. So a kid gets shot. They make a whole big media narrative out of it. If he was in school, he wouldn't have died. So George Floyd, they needed something that was racially divisive. White cop kills black guy in a questionable apprehension, right? So they find that story and they just hammer it. And the stupid statues and the paintings and all that, ridiculous. But things like that happen all the time. They'll make that big of a deal out of it. So it's gross how much the media can sort of shape a narrative and make people feel a certain way about it. But even people who are criticizing this guy, saying that there was like a racially driven thing, they would be so thankful for what this guy did if people that they cared about were being threatened by a crazy person and somebody neutralized that threat. And I would do the same thing this guy did. I'm sure most of you would too, even knowing what the consequences are. So you now not only have to be brave in terms of putting your life on the line and when you're defending other people, but you have to be brave in the sense of knowing that the legal system might not be on your side. So, which is why I encourage you to go to common sense friendly states like Florida, Texas, Tennessee. Definitely not New York, definitely not California, but there is a reason why every state in the country shifted red in this past election. So that's a step in the right direction, but we have to get these dirty, filthy, disgusting attorney generals out. We have to get these dirty, filthy, disgusting judges out because, they're just as much of a problem as the politicians are. So the swamp runs deep. The push to demoralize the nation runs deep, but God blessed us by giving us Trump, and we're in a position to turn it around. So I think this kid, Daniel Penny's gonna be all right, and he is 100% a hero, and we should honor him. Thank you for watching. As always, guys, please like and subscribe. And if you want to join my book club, the coolest book club in the world, where we talk about books that are being taken out of circulation because they're just too dangerous and give away too much information about how the world really works and the type of people that are pushing this type of agenda to demoralize the country. You could find that link below. Thank you for watching. God bless.